Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. I am your host, Corey C., and I'm here with a very special guest today, the founder of Love.io. And I also want to mention that I am part of the team Love.io as well. And I'm very excited to speak with you, Anders, today about all of the events that you've attended, all of the progress that has been made since you are in the United States. How are you today?
I'm very well, Corey, very, very well.
That's great. I'm very, very glad to hear that. And I'm very happy and I'm very excited to hear about all the Love.io updates that we're going to discuss today. So let's talk about the Love.io updates. So you're currently here in the United States participating in cryptocurrency events, setting up partnerships with Love.io ambassadors, and much more. So you have met with the NFT community and artists in Los Angeles since you've been in here in the States. How did they receive Love.io, and what benefits does Love micro tipping do for content creators?
Yes, I've been mostly now on the West Coast. I've been up to San Francisco, attending some events, and also met up with like the artist community down in LA, and it's quite amazing because like everyone is doing NFTs today, so it's like really big. And I have done some presentations, have meetings. It's been very, very hectic, and the Love.io concept have really taken off in the community because of course what we have discussed before is now with the Pulse Chain's launch, we actually have a cryptocurrency that can be, with 3-second block times, very quickly sent. We have very low gas fees and cost almost nothing for transactions. And they are, like, if we see like the NFT communities, they are used to these like Ethereum, and slow transactions and so on. So when explaining how Love.io, how the micro tipping and so on will work for content creators, they find it very, very interesting. And how it also have developed further on, because our originally concept was basically Love, that you as a streamer can receive Love donations, micro tipping and so on from your followers and fans. But when we bring this concept to like NFT artists and traditional like content creators, that opens up solutions that doesn't exist at all today. And that means, for example, if you are a famous artist, you have followers or fans, they love what you're doing, then basically with Love they can receive micro tipping. Small donations can be even a few cents, just if they post a picture or drawing that they like, the fans and so on or here is a cup of coffee, a couple of dollars, or and so on. So it can be like this small micro tipping that is possible with Love. But how this also, since everything is registered on the blockchain, that means that this also opens up solutions that can solve like problems that have been since the beginning of the creator economy, and that is how to get paid while creating. And one good example is, of course, Beeple Everyday's. He did one painting for every day for 5,000 days, and that was, took a very long time. But then, of course, he successfully could sell the painting for $69 million. Mm-hmm. But during the whole time when he was creating, he had a lot of followers and fans, and they basically could just give likes or hearts on his posts. But with Love, he could basically have love wallet address. He could receive love, donations, and so on for every day, get support for him. And then he could create, for example, an NFT of the most supportive wallet address that have been supporting him. And then he could also give maybe some different rights in that NFT that if I'm making it in the future, become successful, then the most supportive wallet addresses will have these rights, maybe can be on exclusive parties or special editions and so on. So that becomes like a value in that wallet address that is actually sending love and supporting. And since the blockchain doesn't forget, everything is registered on the blockchain, this opens up a system that actually content creators can work. There have been some already successful, like the Nelt Boys, for example. They have done a very successful meta card NFT for their fans and followers that have worked. But the difference with Love cryptocurrency is that you can basically have, like, oh, I send $1 today, I really like what he did today, and so on. So you can get that interaction with your fans and followers on a very good way. And then, as I said, everything is registered on the blockchain, on Pulsechain, of course, and that means that can be a very valuable NFT in the future, and also you have like a collective value. Like if you pay so much money, like every days that was sold for $69 million, maybe there is also collective value to buy like the NFT that supported the wallet address that actually supported the artist during this time, plus that it can also include like different rights and so on. So that means that we are actually taking love.io to a completely new level. And when we have been out, talking to like the really, really big ones, that the creative artists and so on, and they are, it takes like not very long before they are like really, really interesting. So in the near future, we will sign on some really big artists, and that means that we get adoption, because that means a lot of followers or fans, and how they can support their artist is, to download the Love wallet, or if it's like the standard MetaMask wallet and so on, that the Pulsechain team will work on to doing. And that is also something that is amazing for projects building on Pulsechain. So not only do we get like the best technology, we get like the Ethereum stress test technology with all applications and so on there. So that is also perfect for Love, that like everything that exists, it will be, exist the same, but much better. So now, so it's a lot of content creators, artists, and so on have been like amazing.
No, that's amazing. It's incredible to be able to successfully consolidate the future of artistry and individual and collective expression with NFTs, while simultaneously being able to allow for that expression to be monetized through Love. And as we've seen throughout the content creator economy, it's very difficult for a majority of content creators to actually be able to make a living, or to be able to expand their reach with their fans. And I feel like love.io Love allows for those two components to actually be realized, and where content creators can make a living, and also they could be able to interact with their fans on a more intimate level. So I think that's very, very important. So I wanted to also ask you, about Adam English. So
Yeah.
I heard you will be on Adam English's crypto podcast, who has a very large community, crypto community on
Yeah.
Spotify, Twitch, and LinkedIn. So please, would you be able to tell us more and the reason why he finds Love.io very interesting?
Yeah, so I was contacted by him, and what have happened now, like the past months or so, is that we have started to get like a huge interest outside, like the original community that, like the Hexicans and Pulse Chain and so on community.
That's great.
And that is also have been our goal, that we should like Love.io and Love Cryptocurrency should not be an app for Hexicans only or Pulsicans, and we believe that the strength is, like, there is a lot of projects now launching on Pulse Chain, but many of them is like coming from the Hexican only communities made, like for Hex included and so on. But just like Richard, he mentioned on the Hexican conference that what we should really look at is like the adoption also coming from outside, and he's very positive to like projects that is actually not focusing and targeting on Hexicans or people in the ecosystem. We should actually grow our ecosystem because that benefits everyone. Now, so Adam English, as you mentioned, he's quite big on like Spotify, on LinkedIn, and having his crypto podcast, and I think it's scheduled on Friday, and
Awesome.
it's quite long. It can be up to like 2-3 hours, and we will talk a lot about, of course, Love.io and how we will really solve big problems in the crypto space, but also, of course, talking a lot about Pulse Chain and the opportunities for everyone to work on Pulse Chain and so on as well.
That's awesome. So what do you think the most prominent reason he finds Love.io interesting? Like,
Yeah, so he is also, of course, a lot of interest in NFTs and so on, and that community is huge, especially here in the US, because as we have maybe talked about before, is you have, of course, like a big community in the streamers, and he's interested because he sees the direct advantages of using Love as a streamer, that basically you can just have your wallet address, your Love wallet address, and that means like, oh, Corey, he said something I really like today. I send him $2 for a cup of coffee, So it's like a very easy way. Oh, you got $2, And it's very hard today because you don't have any like perfect product market fit in crypto for sending, like micro donations.
Absolutely.
Like the wrong name, and it's like so many. So Love address, like if you like what I do as a streamer and you maybe really like that, okay, send him some love, So you have that product, and he really likes that concept, and of course the technology that Pulse Chain will have, that this will be something that will cost less than a penny to send.
That's huge.
And it will be like 3-second block times, So, but of course, that is what we can just give our great gratitude to Richard, who is like doing the Pulse Chain technology and the fork of Ethereum, But of course, he also really likes that part of the project. And then, since he's also in NFTs, I think he also sees the huge opportunities with what we just discussed, to be able, when Love and support is recorded on the blockchain, that also opens up further possibilities for content creators, that you can actually give rights or special access or something to those wallet addresses that have supported you the most. And so that actually can create a value in that wallet address that you can basically sell as well, because it's not only you as a person that is recorded, because that love and support can be easily forgotten, you know.
Absolutely.
But when it's love and support registered from a wallet address, that it cannot never be forgotten, you know. So that is what he also sees is like a huge opportunity with love.io, and so we will have a long further discussion on Friday. So everyone listening to this, they are welcome to tune in. I will post too on Twitter and LinkedIn and so on with that.
Awesome. So fast, efficient, and intimate. I like that. I like those components being amalgamated together, not just through Pulse Chain, but through the love.io project as well, consolidated together. So that's also very important for our viewers to understand that this is going to be efficient. This is going to cost less than a penny and for transactions. And this is also going to allow content creators to be more, to allow for a more direct interaction with the audience, which is very important. So
I can also fill in there too that so Adam English, he is like one podcast, but then I have had so many meetings with like new tech startups in San Francisco that is building, you know, like new networks and so on. And that is also a potential to integrate love into new networks, you know. So that's also what we see as a huge opportunity, because if you are doing a new application in Web 3.0 that basically everyone is focusing on now to do like application there, then to have like one native token in that application, it's not always the best thing, because if you only have like one native token in one ecosystem and one network, it's very hard to get like the maximum value in that application. And there is love also coming in, since love can work in so many different networks. That means that it just becomes like an added value in, like love is universal. It can work in different networks. It can work in different languages, different countries, and different political groups, you know. It's not, so it's different kinds of streamers, you know. It's very, it's going all over borders, and that means also that becomes very interesting. If you have like an application and you're thinking about just doing like a native token, maybe that project that becomes like the weak point, because the token can only be used in that network, you know.
Right. So I completely understand where you're coming from in that notion. So I know that you've also been involved, and we spoke about this briefly the last couple of times we spoke, but not really in depth. And I really want to focus on this. So this is a really big deal.
Yeah.
So uncensored.com, the docuseries which you participated in Barcelona, confirmed you and love.io will air in EP3. Please, can you talk about that? That's a really big deal to be part of the docuseries.
Yeah, it is, because they are quite big, these docu-series, Uncensored Crypto. And that was done in Barcelona during 3 days, and it's a very long docu-series, and aired, and I think it's totally like 2 million viewers.
Great.
Have been in the past and so on. So it is very big. I think so I got confirmation, have like signed all the release documents and everything for the docu-series, and they said that they plan to have it in the episode 3. Awesome. So I will be in there. We see how much. I think that probably, because we were like recording and shooting, was a full film team, you know, with 5 Yeah, it was probably, yeah, but more in the whole film crew. It was, I think, 10, 15 people in the whole film crew there. And it
Wow.
was, yeah, so it was, and the setting was in a huge, big, almost like a castle outside Barcelona. So it was beautiful
Awesome.
place. So, but we see. So they aired for like 3 hours, but I don't know how much they will actually put in. But we see, but it will be interesting to see it. Love.io will be there, be mentioned, and so on. So I think that will lead to a lot of further interest and traffic and so on to Love.io.
Oh, that's awesome, especially the fact that it's in that Love.io and you have been involved in a
Yeah,
docu-series where people can see it face to face outside of possibly, the crypto community, people
yeah,
who are not very adept in cryptocurrency and
yeah,
their first introduction to it to an altcoin project would be Love.io, which would onboard people not just to
yeah.
Love.io, but to Pulse Chain as well. So it's a domino effect as well.
Yeah, it is, and that is what we need. Like we need to really spread our wings out. Out in the whole crypto community. And I was very happy to hear that Richard, he will be talking at the WorldCom in Miami now in Miami, which I also suggested that would be great. He confirmed that at the Hexagon conference in Las Vegas, that he would love to participate there. He was one of the Hexagons that organized that, and I think that this is what we should do. We must go out there, and also I see that the potential for like Love.io as a project is so much bigger because, as I said, there is maybe like projects that is more popular in the Hexagon community, but I think that Love.io have a possibility to be like popular outside as well, as we see now, and that will come with these like the docuseries to be out, like speaking, and so I am amazed by all the love that we have got and so that's amazing.
No, that's great. And on that topic and regarding expansion and partnerships, I know that you have discussed with me this partnership, but I'm really excited to discuss it on air. So Think IP UK and Love.io have agreed to a partnership. Now, what is that exactly? Could you tell us more?
Yeah, that is also very exciting, and we will get probably 2 new team members into the team as well from Think IP. And what Think IP is they have a network of a lot of content creators, artists, authors in UK especially, but it also goes actually outside UK. And that means I got an estimation of like, it was like 30, 40 million followers altogether, that their network has, And so that means that a partnership with them, and also that we get in 2 of them into the team. It's Greta. She have a very Swedish name, but it's not Greta Thunberg.
I was about to say, I should be in 2.
And then we also have Andrew, who is actually an author as well, and so they will come into the team, and it's amazing. They have already lined up these that love the micro tipping system, the way of creating an NFT with the Love wallet, and so on. They love the concept. So that means also more network, more adoption into Love, and so I am really looking forward to bring them in and this partnership that we will have with Think IP.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's an immense amount of followers. That's the amount of followers. That's the amount of some countries. So that's a big deal, and that's huge. So I want to talk about the sacrifice because I've seen some questions in the Telegram as well about the
Yeah, yeah,
sacrifice.
yeah, yeah.
So how is so there's a couple of questions. How is the sacrifice for love going? And I've also heard of several traditional VCs that have been contacting you. One of
Yeah,
them being a major VC in San Francisco, who
yeah,
in essence were early investors in Spotify, which kind of shows you the potential of Love.io,
yeah,
and you had a meeting with them.
yeah,
So would you be able to, without saying their names, because I know that NDAs are
yeah, yeah.
important. So would you be able to tell me more and why they find Love.io so interesting?
Yeah, yeah. So we can start with the sacrifice.
Sure.
So the sacrifice is going good. I think that it's of course have changed a lot who is sacrificing. We see a lot of more sacrifices now coming from people outside like the traditional community. Like Chain and Hexicans, and they have been very focused of all the other like Hexican projects and so on that is launching. But we just like our mission is, and also what we see the huge potential with Love.io is to get adoption outside these like the original communities, and that is how we also bring like most value to Chain and so on. That we are actually bringing in like transactions and and yeah, energy, monetary energy, as
Right.
Richard said. So that is like really good. What regarding BC, so that is also what is quite interesting because. Like in the beginning, I thought, like we would like get like the first support from like VCs that are already inside like the Pulse Chain and so on communities. But what we have seen now, and especially with these like real problems that we are solving also outside like the normal crypto space, as
Right.
we see is how to for content creators to actually be able to get paid while creating and so on. And these VCs, they see that too. They are always interested in like projects, and especially now when a lot of focus is on Web 3.0,
Right.
is projects who can actually solve like real, like everyday problems, and that was amazing. We, as you said, like we were actually like contacted by one of the most biggest VCs that normally you don't get like an appointment with, and
No.
they contacted us, and I have been in San Francisco and discussed with them. It was, of course, not in our like main focus because we wanted to have, like a normal sacrifice and love, just like will be an airdrop with no value, just like Pulse Chain, and so on. So it was, of course, a little early for like VC talks, but when you get that opportunity and you get like interest from them, then you are sitting on the next plane to San Francisco, and that's what I did, and that was yeah, really good, and so that will be further discussions and so on, and of course if anything becomes like public, then of course we will tell like the community and so on.
Uh, to be honest with you, that's absolutely huge, especially
Yeah,
in such a
yeah,
in such a early stage of development that
yeah,
you're being contacted by one of the largest firms in
yeah,
just I think that kind of speaks for itself um,
yeah,
about where they see this project
yeah.
going. That's massive.
It's yeah, so it's massive in that way, but I think also it gives you so much more like energy and confirmation too,
Right.
because that means, like because so much focus is now on Web 3.0,
Yep.
like everyone is, this is like the internet of value,
Mhm.
and then like the next question is what can that actually solve, and then so that is like a good confirmation, and getting that support, because that will increase like the value for everyone, in the
Absolutely.
future.
So my last question to you is a question I think everyone wants to know, and no matter what project you're in the Pulse Chain and Hexagon communities. I think it's a very, very, very important question that we can only speculate on, but I think it's important to bring up. What do
Yeah.
you think about the Pulse Chain launch, and when do you think it may happen?
Yeah. No. So of course, software always takes time,
Of course.
and here is there's what Pulse Chain means. When it's launched, it will be a massive thing, and but if there is something that have done, like too quickly, that maybe have should have been worked on, for a month or 2 months more to make it, like perfect, then it's worth waiting. So I know, of course, there is, like many, especially in that community, like in our like Hexagon community, that maybe, oh, why is it not launched yet, and so on, and there have been, like questions also to myself, like, yeah, but when do you actually think that Pulse Chain will be launched? And I say, like, let it take its time. We are not in this game for any quick money, and we are in here for long term, and then it's really important that all these things gets right. And just to estimate, I think that there is a possibility that it will be like in the summer.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it could be in the summer if we get everything done. But I don't see if it takes like a month or 2 months longer than that. If we go in, it's not like a huge thing. When we are talking about like the big changes this can actually be in the crypto space. Like, I'm talking to, as I said, like NFT artists, and so on. When they hear about the potential of Pulse Chain, that everything will be forked and copied over, and you can send with low gas fees and all we will have, like the own, if not OpenSea, they doing it themselves. There is already now, alternatives to OpenSea that can be used, and so on, like Pulseverse that we have talked about before. There is like this upcoming project. And but when we're doing something good, like if it's like 1-2 months there, it's not like a huge thing. Of course, we all want it to be as soon as possible, but the most important is that we are out, and talking and working on when the launch will happen, so we have like the maximum like followers, and people know about it, and so on. The worst thing for us is not that Pulse Chain takes a little longer time. The worst thing is that if there is, like no one is talking about
Right.
Pulse Chain, no one knows about it, So that's why it's important. And also, as I mentioned, that Richard will talk, in World Con, the big world conference with a lot of NFTs. Mark Cuban will be there as well, and so on, as we talked last time. And it is very important just to get, like the voices heard, And that is what I do. Like every day when I have a meeting, it's a lot of pulse chain talk, and that is what we need outside the community, not all inside like the hexagon and pulse chain, because it's no use. We don't bring any new monetary energy to try to convert the already converted. We have to go out there and preach.
Absolutely. No, that's absolutely true. So I want to say thank you so much for your time today. These are really exciting developments, and I'm really, really happy to hear this. And I'm excited to see these developments come to fruition and expand in the coming months. So
Yeah,
I really hope you enjoy your stay in the US. And I really,
I love it.
that's awesome.
Too good food though.
Yeah.
So that's
I'm glad to hear that. And I'm
yeah.
really excited to hear about the expansion of Love.io in the very near future. So thank you so much for your time today, Anders.
Thank you, Corey. Talk to you soon.
Yes. Cheers.
Okay, cheers. Bye. Bye.